is why men should not be allowed to sit at bars as a woman in STEM and corporate in Miami. I posted a TikTok about how so many men were sitting at the bar disproportionately when I've been going to my favorite local bar in Brickell. And I've noticed that even as a woman, there's almost like a reverse in polarity in the bar scene or even nightlife scene where, women are usually the ones who are sitting at the bar stools. You're approached by men. You get to conversate much more easily because you're in your feminine energy, right? You're approachable. And if you listen to a lot of love stories from people in past generations who met their partners out in nightlife or at the bars, the women were always approached by their partners, whether they were on the dance floor or maybe they were at the bar sitting and having a cute little cocktail and then their future husband noticed them. But what I noticed in my comments in my last video is that so many men were triggered by me posting that silly little TikTok and saying, oh, well, there needs to be equality or that, I have the right to sit at the bar, blah, blah, blah. And what's just highlighting is that one, a lot of people don't understand that the polarity in relationships is reversing where a lot of men are more so in their feminine energy in an unhealthy way where they're more passive or they have a unhealthy idea that being masculine or being in your masculine energy means having to control a woman. They think it's about asserting dominance and power. And that's not true masculine leadership, right? Getting up and giving up your seat at the bar does not mean that you're losing control. And
All right, so let me make some sense of this and let me just be honest about how it is that people need to operate and whether or not it makes sense for you to give your seat up at the bar and so on and so forth, right? First and foremost, I didn't even know that there was an etiquette that was coming along with giving your seat up at the bar. Now, I am also intimately familiar with the bar scene over in Brickell, and that it's a lot of people that are basically moving and shaking, and it's a lot of women that's trying to get picked up, and it's a lot of guys that's acting like they got a lot of money, and then it's a lot of guys that do have a lot of money that ain't really tripping about it. And so Brickell in Miami is a different type of place. It's not like the normal bar scene. And this is the reason why I'm qualifying this argument with that, is because when you go to a regular everyday bar in your local watering hole or even in your downtown environment, in a way, in most instances, is much different than Brickell in Miami. Now, with that being said, I have never felt compelled to have to give my seat up to anybody, but I have felt compelled to say, hey, I'm about to leave if you want my seat, because I know that it might be busy and it's a lot of people waiting for seats at the bar. But to say that men are not in their masculine energy because they sitting at the bar and they're not reserving those seats for the women is pretty wild. In my whole life, and again, I've been everywhere. In my whole life, I've never known that to have to be a requirement for you to give up your seat at the bar. It sounds like the bars and the places that they are frequenting gets filled up pretty fast, and the women want to be able to sit around and try to scam free drinks off of guys when they know they don't really have no money to go and get the drinks themselves. And so that is incentivized by a couple different things. First of all, the establishments want to serve and sell drinks. The way that they get the most drinks out is through the women. And the women is broke, and the women don't really have no money. Most of them don't have no career or no job. They go out, they get dressed up, they do work out, and a lot of them look really good. They put on all of the different things that they can put on in order to try to entice men. A lot of times they don't necessarily like the men that they're talking to, but they definitely will take a couple of free drinks, and that's what they're there for. A lot of them is there to get picked up by the guy that they want, but also looking to get free drinks and free food from the suspecting victims that they're scamming. Now, the one thing about that, though, is in order for them to be able to do that, they got to be at the bars, right? So that's one thing. The second thing is she's talking about all of these stories that she heard from people that they approach them at the bar, though. I am familiar with the fact that guys go up to women and all of this other stuff and they shoot their shot. Cool. But I wasn't familiar with, and maybe I've just been to too many local watering holes or too many bar restaurants. I usually see it's a mixture between guys and girls having conversations and interacting and kicking it with people. Sometimes you see a group of guys and they just had the bar getting drinks, watching the game. And then other times you see mixtures, and then other times you see women coming in their groups and then the guys are sitting in their group, and then sometimes somehow it started getting mixed up and put together. But I didn't know that the bar was specifically reserved just for women so that men can then approach them. That must be something new to me. Again, I'm new to this. I'm hearing this for the first time. I've never heard this in my entire life. I'm willing to admit when I've never heard something in my entire life. And so that is what you now see happening on this front, as far as her saying that guys should have to or should not be sitting at the bar or else they're in their feminine energy. Interesting.
Means you're creating a safe container for the women at the bar where the women know, hey, I'm going to be provided for, even if it's in little ways. I can rest my feet. I can sit down comfortably. A matter of fact, like, if you're doing that as well with good intentions and not like ulterior motives, like those women, right, or whatever woman you give up your seat for, you never know, that can lead to another date, but you have to be willing to kind of lead and provide that energetic container for a lady to feel safe, to feel comfortable, to like feel like she can just loosen up and have fun while she's out. And a lot of men are losing touch with this in real life. And I saw in my comments, how many men were losing touch with the art of socializing in real life. And it's funny because there's a lot of conversations about the male loneliness epidemic, but whenever I talk to older gentlemen in particular, because I'm not someone who dates a lot of men or young guys around my age. I'm 26. I'm attracted, I think, more intellectually and emotionally, as well as just given where I'm at in terms of my career, to older men.
Yeah, heard that one before.
They don't really know what I'm talking about when I bring up the male loneliness epidemic. And they also say that, well, if you're somebody with emotional intelligence, if you know how to socialize, if you know how to engage with women in real life and be a gentleman, chivalrous, provide that masculine leadership and safety, and not go in with this mindset of, oh, well, I'm all about equality, or, I'm all about, being the man, I need to be respected, right? These men are going out with this energy of, how can I make women's lives easier? How can I make this woman comfortable?
I don't really think that guys go out with that type of mentality. I think that most guys is just on some, I'm about to go out, have a good time. Hopefully I meet a few people and I'm going to keep it moving. It's really not that deep. Nobody thinks that deep about these situations that I'm familiar with.
And how can I, make sure she enjoys my presence so she's not thinking about other things, right? Think about it. Even little things like if you have to stand in your heels, which, by the way, just want to show you some of my heels, like these hurt, right? Think about these ladies that are like wearing shoes like this, or like the straps cutting your toes after you've been walking and standing. Like, men need to think about these little things. But that's just my 2 cents, my little.
I don't think anything is wrong with what she's saying. So I'm not about to deep dive and go in. And, I always like to link back to the content creator. So that link will be in the description. However, I just don't think it's that deep. I do think that there are guys that make more of a big deal about what's happening out here in these streets in general. Like, you just need to be a sociable person and just be you. Is there etiquette with certain things? Yeah. Should guys be so concerned with whether or not a woman that he don't even know and that he probably is not going to talk to, if her feet hurt? That's up to you. You know what I'm saying? I think that's is really just a personal decision. But I don't think every guy is required, nor do they have a responsibility to make sure that the chicks at the bar's feet is not hurting, or that she's there and she's available to be able to get walked up to and picked up. I don't know nothing about that. But I don't know. Y'all let me know what y'all think inside of the comments. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. Teach Henley. 40% off your first order. 20% off a life. Patreon live stream tonight. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. I'm going to holler at y'all later. Peace.